Hey guys, welcome to the Friday edition of Burn It Down with Kim Brown. A tad bit on the toddy side, but you guys understand we are black. So, time is a colonialist construct that we do not necessarily adhere to. So, I would apologize, and I am kind of apologetic, but we here now. That's the point. Don't write us up just because we a few minutes late. We gonna work the whole rest of the shift. Okay, don't. It's gonna be all right. We appreciate you guys making the time to be here. We appreciate Sister Teresa leading us off with the early super chat support. Thank you so much, Teresa, for all that you do to support us here at BIDWKB. We got a good show, y'all, and really we not go bojangle with it. We're going to get right into it. I got some good things coming up later on in the show. Woo! A doozy of a cops ain't shit story. An arrest has been made of a former police outside of the Boston area. This cop was grooming a teen girl out of the Police Explorers Club. He groomed her, abused her, basically treated her. You could, in my opinion, he trafficked her to other police in the department. A teenager, right? She became a young woman. She became impregnated by this cop, and this cop now has been charged with her murder. But plot twist, it was the feds that ended up charging this cop, not the local police. And there's reasons for that. So I want to get into that just a little bit later on in the show. But we're going to lead it off right now because my brother Will got to go somewhere. But let's get things started. Do me a favor, y'all. This is Burn It Down with Kim Brown every Tuesday and Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Please give the video a thumbs up. Welcome to all our folks watching this live and watching later. Well, some of y'all might have been put straight to sleep or blinked if you missed it. The CNN interview with Vice President Kamala Harris and her would-be vice presidential nominee assistant, the Timmy Balls to the Walls. Dana Bash from CNN got the first interview with Kamala Harris since she has been made the Democratic presidential nominee. And when I tell you it was a fucking snoozer, it was a goddamn snoozer. It was typical of an interview that I would expect from the Complicity News Network, from the corporate news network, from the capitalist news network. CNN gave me precisely what I thought they was going to give me. And if you didn't get a chance to watch it, we're going to watch at least 2/3 of it together. So, because it never hurts to do even a cursory media analysis of the ways that the corporate media intentionally distorts issues, prioritizes so-called wedge and or culture war issues over the material concerns of everyday Americans and people that live in this country. And I'm not saying that an issue like immigration isn't important, but as far as we're concerned, the Harris Walz ticket might as well be fucking Trump and Vance out in this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Kamala talk a tiny bit better. She don't talk about building a wall, but she still talks very greasy to migrants that are seeking asylum in this country, seeking a better opportunity in this country, and usually fleeing an unstable political environment from their home countries that was facilitated and exacerbated, if not outright orchestrated, by the United States government, right? All right. So Will, do me a favor. We're gonna pop Kami and see, I don't even want to call her Kami. She don't deserve that. Cop Mala. Let's pop up Cop Mala and Timmy and put me in the low box and on the low because I'm gonna ask you to pause it hither and thither. We're gonna do the hustle and the bustle through this joint. So here we are, CNN's Dana Bash. What these journalists will do for access, kids. I tell you what they won't do. They won't do their fucking jobs. Will, let's go ahead and run it.
Sitting down with me and bringing the bus. The bus tour is well underway here in Georgia. You have less time to make your case to voters than any candidate in modern American history. The voters are really eager to hear what your plans are. If you are elected, what would you do on day one in the White House?
Well, there are a number of things. I will tell you, first and foremost, one of my highest priorities is to do what we can to support and strengthen the middle class. When I look at the aspirations, the goals, the ambitions of the American people. I think that people are ready for a new way forward, in a way that generations of Americans have been fueled by hope and by optimism. I think, sadly, in the last decade, we have had in the former president someone who has really been pushing an agenda and in an environment that is about diminishing the character and the strength of who we are as Americans, really dividing our nation. And I think people are ready to turn the page on that.
So what would you do day one?
Day one, it's going to be about, one, implementing my plan for what I call an opportunity economy.
What's
I've
the
already
plan?
laid out a number of proposals in that regard, which include what we're going to do to bring down the cost of everyday goods, what we're going to do to invest in America's small businesses, what we're going to do to invest in families, for example, extending the child tax credit to $6,000 for families for the first year of their child's life, to help
Will,
them
pause that
buy
for
a
me real
car
quick.
seat, to help them buy baby clothes, a crib.
Pause that for me. Thank you so much. So Kamala Harris has been talking, I don't know what, a couple minutes now, and that's the first very specific thing that she says regarding the child tax credit, which again is a piece of policy that has already been put in place, was allowed to expire, and I'm very curious why it was allowed to expire. But regardless, let's talk about Dana Bash's opening question. What are you going to do on day one? When I tell you that is such an empty calorie of a question, it is a nothing burger of a question. Let's be realistic here. What do most president-elects or presidents on day one? What the fuck are they doing? They are transitioning. Okay, the new Congress is being sworn in. The new president is literally transitioning to the White House now. Kamala Harris is going to have an advantage should she be the winner of this election, obviously, because she is the successor to the current sitting president, right? So her transition may not be what most new presidents may be, but even still, what are you going to do on day one? We're talking about a 4-year term. How about maybe we stretch this out? Why don't we ask the question, what are you going to do year one? Because I think that is a more reasonable question to ask. What legislation are you going to work with the Democrats in Congress to craft specifically in order to better improve Americans or people that reside here, their material condition? And it took her 2.5 minutes to say something specific. All of that hope and optimism for improving the middle class, that is fucking rhetoric. That shit is PR, speechwriter, poetry. That don't mean nothing. George W. Bush promised hope and optimism. All these fucking terrible presidents promise hope and optimism. What is your policy? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Will. Let her run.
There's the work that we're going to do that is about investing in the American family around affordable housing, a big issue in our country right now. So there are a number of things on day one.
What about you?
Well, I'm excited about this agenda too. As I said, the idea of inspiring America to what can be, and I think many of these things that the vice president's proposing are things that we share in values. And the child tax credit is one we know that reduces childhood poverty by 1/3. We did it in Minnesota to have a federal partner in this. Unbelievable, I think, in the impact that we can make.
You talked about, you call it the opportunity economy. You are well aware that right now many Americans are struggling. There's a crisis of affordability. One of your campaign themes is we're not going back. But I wonder what you say to voters who do want to go back when it comes to the economy specifically, because their groceries were less expensive, housing was more affordable when Donald Trump was president.
You know who to call when you need a plumber.
shit.
Now let
Whoops, sorry. Our bad. Real quick, hold on, pause it. Well, I let me say the presence of Tim Walz in this interview I find to be very, very strange. I don't quite understand what is the purpose of having the vice presidential nominee there, except to show America that there will be a white man at arm's reach. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, wait. It's fine. If Kamala scares you with her light skin in her silk press. If this light-skinned biracial woman frightens you, there's a white man right there, America. Don't be afraid. The white man is in proximity. Everything's going to be okay. All right. I'm sorry, Will. Go ahead.
that when Joe Biden and I came in office, during the height of a pandemic, we saw over 10 million jobs were lost. People, I mean, literally, we were all tracking the numbers. Hundreds of people a day were dying because of COVID.
We're not tracking
The
those numbers
economy
anymore.
had crashed. In large part, all of that because of mismanagement by Donald Trump of that crisis. When we came in, our highest priority was to do what we could to rescue America. And today, we know that we have inflation at under 3%. A lot of our policies have led to the reality that America recovered faster than any wealthy nation around the world.
People don't feel
But
that.
you are right. Prices, in particular for groceries, are still too high. The American people know it, I know it, which is why my agenda includes what we need to do to bring down the price of groceries. For example, dealing with an issue like price gouging, what we need to do to extend the child tax credit to help young families be able to take care of their children in their most formative years, what we need to do to bring down the cost of housing. My proposal includes what would be a tax credit of $25,000 for first-time home buyers, so they can just have enough to put a down payment on a home, which is part of the American dream and their aspiration, but do it in a way that allows them to actually get on the path to achieving that goal and that dream.
So you have
Hit
been vice
pause real quick,
president for
Will.
3.5 years.
Yeah.
Hit pause real quick. So, again, she's beating this drum with this same policy. She keeps referencing the child tax care, and that's cute and that's lovely. Well, I mean, do you have anything else specific when you talk about Kamala? That is, when she talks about price gouging, she wants to attack price gouging in what way exactly? We have laws on the books already to combat so-called price gouging, right? But I'm not hearing I'm not hearing exactly how you intend to do this. Is you intend to do this legislatively? Do you intend to make sure that the Department of Justice perhaps goes after companies or industries that are engaging in price gouging? Like, what does that do in the immediacy or even in the short term after her becoming president? What does this quote price gouging addressing? What does this do to address inflation in the short term? It doesn't. It doesn't. I'm sorry. I just wanted to point that out. But and the housing thing, I'm sorry, $25,000 down or a credit of $25,000 for home buyers or first-time home buyers. That sounds fantastic. Let me tell you, the FHA loan, the what is it, the Federal Housing Act, the ability for people to obtain a mortgage through the government by only putting down 3.5% versus the 20% that people have to get if they go for a conventional bank mortgage. And listen, the 3.5%, that compared to 20% down, that's a good program. You know what I'm saying? What can we do to strengthen that? Because that to me is already there. So what can we do to even expand that? Because from what I understand, and if I have this wrong, by all means, I'm here for correction. But the $25,000 program or credit that Kamala is talking about giving to first-time home buyers, from my understanding, that the people can't have like any evictions on their credit. Your credit really has to be super, super pristine, right? And we know that the difficulty in obtaining a mortgage, especially in such a tight rental market where rents are so high, and unfortunately a lot of people are being evicted from their housing, it just still puts them in a very precarious position that they still can't be able to purchase a home, regardless, even if they have the $25,000 credit. If their actual credit is not good because they have been housing insecure during this fucked up time, then what? Anyway, go on, Will. Thank you.
The steps that you're talking about now, why haven't you done them already?
Good question.
Well, first of all, we had to recover as an economy, and we have done that. I'm very proud of the work that we have done that has brought inflation down to less than 3%. The work that we have done to cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors. Donald Trump said he was going to do a number of things, including allowing Medicare to negotiate drug prices. Never happened. We did it. So now, as I travel in the state of Georgia and around our country, the number of seniors that have benefited. I was in Nevada recently, a grandmother who showed me her receipts. And before we capped the cost of insulin for seniors at $35 a month, she was paying hundreds of dollars up to thousands of dollars a month for her insulin. She's not doing that
You
anymore.
maintain
that for me real quick.
Bidenomics is a
Pause that for me
success.
real quick. Listen, capping the price of insulin for seniors is great. Is the cap priced for everybody? Is it capped for children who have type 1 diabetes? You know what I'm saying? Like, because I don't think, I do not think that this is capped for all persons. And to say that it's capped for seniors is fantastic. But, unfortunately, seniors are not the only ones in this country that happens to be experiencing high levels of obesity, high blood pressure, and all the things that come along with that, including diabetes. Again, this piecemeal incremental bullshit that Democrats like to thump their chest about. You do breadcrumbs. You literally do fucking crumbs, and really think that somebody should be patting you on the back for it. And I'm not impressed. I'm happy for seniors that the price is capped. I am not happy for everyone else that requires daily use of insulin that is not able to benefit from $35 of insulin. Continue, Will. Thank you.
I maintain that when we do the work of bringing down prescription medication for the American people, including capping the cost of the annual cost of prescription medication for seniors at $2,000, when we do what we did in the first year of being in office to extend the child tax credit so that we cut child poverty in America by over 50%, when we do what we have done to invest in the American people and bringing manufacturing back to the United States so that we created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs, bringing business back to America, what we have done to improve the supply chain so we're not relying on foreign governments to supply American families with their basic needs.
Girl, please.
I'll say that that's good work. There's more to do, but that's good work.
I want to get some clarity on where you stand on some key policy issues. Energy is a big one. When you were in Congress, you supported the Green New Deal. And in 2019, you said, quote, "There is no question I'm in favor of banning fracking." Fracking, as you know, is a pretty big issue, particularly in your must-win state of Pennsylvania.
Sure.
Do you still want to ban fracking?
No, and I made that clear on the debate stage in 2020, that I would not ban fracking. As vice president, I did not ban fracking. As president, I will not ban fracking.
In 2019, I believe, at a town hall, you said you were asked, would you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking on your first day in office? And you said, there's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So yes. So it changed in that campaign?
In 2020, I made very clear where I stand. We are in 2024, and I've not changed that position, nor will I going forward. I kept my word, and I will keep my word.
What made you change that position at the time?
Well, let's be clear. My values have not changed. I believe it is very important that we take seriously what we must do to guard against what is a clear crisis in terms of the climate. And to do that, we can do what we have accomplished thus far. The Inflation Reduction Act, what we have done to invest, by my calculation, over probably $1 trillion over the next 10 years, investing in a clean energy economy. What we've already done, creating over 300,000 new clean energy jobs. That tells me, from my experience as vice president, we can do it without banning fracking. In fact, Dana, I cast the tie-breaking vote that actually increased leases for fracking as vice president. So I'm very clear about where I stand.
And was there
pause that
policy?
Whoa, to me, that is very damning. Will, keep us at that point and bring us up the next clip, please. Because I wanted to find that clip where she did say in a CNN town hall that she would ban fracking. Now, gang, I know the environment is an odd issue, at least politically, because Democrats really have to counter the drill baby drill Republican narrative, because Republicans don't give a fuck about the environment, right? It's so wild that a people of a political ideology that really prides themselves kind of on this sort of, redneck identity or hillbilly identity. We like to go hunting, fishing, and cooning and trapping and all that shit. Why do y'all want to go fish in fucking polluted waters? Like, why do you want to go hunt in over hunted areas? Or where wilderness used to be. It's being fucked up by the overfelling of the trees, too much timber being cut down, pollutants being put into the streams and the rivers and the waterways that you can't even eat the shit that comes out of the fucking water. Like conservatives and Republicans specifically, they don't ever campaign on climate shit. They just say the shit ain't happening. Meanwhile, Texas keeps flooding. Meanwhile, the Mississippi, all the way from damn Minnesota to fucking Louisiana, floods out. We got in these big hurricanes, tornadoes are stronger, wildfires are stronger. Republicans are like, this shit is pretend. But the Democrats know better. And let this be a glaring example of their hypocrisy and their contradictions. For those that don't know, fracking is a horrible method of extraction of natural gas. It requires water, would be drinkable water, right? It puts out so many horrible pollutants to break through the shale rock to extract the natural gas, and the methane levels that are released as a result of fracking wells dwarf the amount of carbon dioxide emissions, the CO2, that's the bad shit in the air. Oh, methane, honey, is way, way worse. Way, 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 way worse. And it heats up the atmosphere at a much, much, much higher pace. And who helped to hasten the expansion of fracking in this fucking country? Democrats, Barack Hussein Obama. And look, Kamala beating her chest. Yeah, I helped. It was my vote. I cast the tie vote in order to put more methane in the atmosphere. Yep, that was me. So anyway, let's watch this hypocritical. Ooh, y'all, when I saw this clip, I said it's going to take some effort, some restraint on my part to not call her I see you next Tuesday. Okay. It was going to take some effort for me not to refer to her as a see you next Tuesday, because y'all know how I feel about the environment and I don't like motherfuckers playing in our goddamn face. We'll run that town hall clip from CNN from 2019.
Question, I'm in favor of banning fracking.
Started from the beginning, my brothers.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So yes, and starting with what we can do on day one around public lands, right? And then there has to be legislation. But yes, and this is something I've taken on in California. I have a history of working on this issue. And to your point, we have to just acknowledge that the residual impact of fracking is enormous in terms of the impact on the health and safety of communities. Yeah, so thank you.
So would you ban offshore drilling?
Yes, and I've, again, worked on that.
I'm sorry. Ooh, that's okay. I won't call her a see you next Tuesday, but can I describe it? Is there an adjective? Can I say that is cunty behavior? Can I say that? Is that allowed? Is that, well, it's meant to be disrespectful. I was going to ask, is it disrespectful? That is the intent. Yes, the disrespect is wholly intended here. So I won't call her a see you next Tuesday. I will just describe that flip-flop and that contradiction as cunty. So there you go. Kamala and the Democrats alleged climate activists, alleged friends of the environment, actually giving no fucks about the environment. She acknowledged that she understands how damaging fracking is, and she just said that in this week's interview, that nope, she won't ever ban fracking. Look at that. Look at that. I love this. I love this for us, guys. We have no friends in power. Neither does the earth. Well, let's continue on with this shammery of, as it were, of an interview.
Or scientific data that you saw that you said, oh, okay, I get it now?
What I have seen is that we can grow and we can increase a thriving clean energy economy without banning fracking.
No, we can't.
We built
Cannot with the methane. See, the methane's a really big problem. And this is the thing I'm talking about, everybody. Kamala is very happy to lie and play in your face. She is happy to be a stooge of big oil, big corporations, and fuck Tim Walz. While we on Timmy Balls to the walls, all the indigenous folks in northern Minnesota who have been actioning for a long time against that Enbridge Line 3. What was that? The tar sands pipeline coming from Canada, pumping this disgusting shit that comes into the United States, these pipelines spill with frequency, they rupture with frequency, that usually doesn't make the news. And not to mention the amount of violence that comes along with the construction of these pipelines, because you have all these fuckers coming in to build these pipelines. And what usually accompanies that? Increased sexual violence against Native women and women in general. Yikesies. Is that the end of part one, Will? Because if it is, we can move along to part two.
Yep.
Part two. All right, let's go on to part two. Thank you so much to Will. Thank you so much to all watching. Do us a favor, please. Like the video, like, share, subscribe. Let's burn it down with Kim Brown. So, all right, let's get into the part two. And the reason we're only watching two parts of this interview and not all three is because the final 10 minutes of Dana Bash's interview was all about a bunch of shit I didn't give a fuck about, about Kamala Harris, your niece was on stage, or your people was on stage and you didn't. It was a whole bunch of feature fawnery, trying to humanize them. I'm not interested in your backstory. I want to know about your policies. What are you gonna do, Kamala and Timmy Walz? That's all I care. But anyway, let's go ahead and run part two, Will.
Another issue, big one, is immigration. Mm-hmm. As Vice President, you were tasked with addressing the root causes of migration in southern countries and
northern part of Central America.
The northern part of Central America that affects the southern border of the U.S. Mm-hmm. During the Biden-Harris administration, there were record numbers of illegal border crossings. Why did the Biden-Harris administration wait 3.5 years to implement sweeping asylum restrictions?
Well, first of all, the root causes work that I did as vice president, that I was asked to do by the president, has actually resulted in a number of benefits, including historic investments by American businesses in that region. The number of immigrants coming from that region has actually reduced since we began that work. But I will say this, that Joe Biden and I and our administration worked with members of the United States Congress on an immigration issue that is very significant to the American people and to our security, which is the border. Mm-hmm. And through bipartisan work, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress, a bill was crafted, which we supported, which I support. And Donald Trump got word of this bill that would have contributed to securing our border, and because he believes that it would not have helped him politically, he told his folks in Congress, don't put it forward. He killed the bill. A border security bill that would have put 1,500 more agents on the border. And let me tell you something, the Border Patrol endorsed the bill. And I'm sure in large part because they knew they were working around the clock, and 1,500 more agents would help them. That bill would have allowed us to increase seizures of fentanyl. Ask any community in America that has been devastated by fentanyl what passing that bill would have done to address their concern and a pain that they've experienced.
So you would push that legislation again. I just want to ask about...
push it.
Pause it real quick. So a couple of things here. A lack of follow-up. There's a follow-up right there Dana Bash is about to ask. But I'm curious about the first part of her answer, Kamala Harris, when she said that there have been many American businesses that have opened up in and around the border to assist, I guess, with border security or whatever the fuck. Who? What? What kind of industries? What are you talking about? What kind of businesses? And what kind of incentives were these businesses given? And what exactly do they do to contribute to what you say has been the reduction of migrants coming across the border? And if there has been a reduction of migrants, to what extent? Do we have numbers? Do we have empirical data? What are we basing this on? And to her second part of the answer, where she talks about she and the Democrats work closely with the most conservative members of Congress to come up with an immigration bill. Basically, what the Democrats did is gave the Republicans everything that they asked for. Okay, Democrats are not here. They are not the foil of the Republicans. They are not the foil. They are not the enemy of Republicans. In fact, a lot of times Democrats happily capitulate and coalesce with whatever the fuck these conservatives want. As long as they don't do it with the Freedom Caucus, right? As long as they don't compromise with the the villains of the party, like the Matt Gaetzes and the Marjorie Taylor Greens, but the rest of them fucking crackers, oh, they don't have no goddamn problem going in there and backslapping with the most conservative of the congressional members. Joe Biden did that his whole goddamn congressional career, and let me tell you something, kids, didn't work out so well for us. Did not work out so well for Black folks, and as you see here, the way that the Democrats are happily willing to work with Republicans to give migrants the fucking shaft would be working people in this country. We talk about we need more workers. People don't want to work. Well, there's people waiting by the thousands at the border to come and fucking work. And when Kamala talks about she helped to work and establish the root causes, can I get a follow-up on, well, what did you find? What's the answer? And again, hold on. Do you still hear the same old war on drugs rhetoric being trotted out to y'all? Like this is motherfucking 1974 and is Nixon in office, or like this is 1984 and it's Reagan in office, this war on drugs nonsense. Well, the amount of fentanyl being seized across the border, if we had enough border agents, we could get the fentanyl off the streets. Bitch, wake up. Wake up. I was watching this brother talk about why there is more fentanyl in America now than it is opium, right? We used to have a bad heroin problem, guys. We don't have such a bad heroin problem anymore. Know why? Because the fentanyl's out here. You know why? Because poppy and opium are a plant. They have to grow. It has to be harvested. It takes time to ship. It's bulky. It's heavy to I guess to move from Afghanistan to the United States. You know, since the U.S. pulled out of Afghanistan, all the opium lost its ride. it lost its transportation over to the U.S. And then, ka-ching, what happens? Fentanyl. Fentanyl is manufactured. It is manufactured cheaply. For every, I don't even know how fentanyl comes. Does it come by the pound? Does it come by the kilo? I don't know. For every kilo, let's say, fuck it, a kilo of fentanyl probably killed a whole goddamn city with a kilo of fentanyl. But for every kilo of fentanyl that gets seized at the border, baby, a new kilo has already been manufactured and is ready for shipment and delivery, okay? So let us get this fucking naivete that we're going to seize all the drugs across the border. Since when? Please show me the year, decade, era in which America was ever able to get a grasp or a serious hold of the so-called war on drugs and drugs pouring across the border, guys. And let us wake up and shake ourselves of this immaturity and naivete. Guys, the war on drugs is allowed to flourish because it is a moneymaker. You just heard Kamala. It's a jobs opportunity. We need 1,500 more Border Patrol agents to stop the war on drugs. It is a job maker, baby. You want to talk about creating jobs? Oh my gosh. Imagine if drugs were legalized. What the fuck would all these cops do with themselves? Anyway, that's a rhetorical question. Anyway, so resume, Will. Thank you.
I will make sure that it comes to my desk and I would sign it.
Just one other question about something that you said in 2019 when you first ran. There was a debate. You raised your hand when asked whether or not the border should be decriminalized. Do you still believe that?
I believe there should be consequence. We have laws that have to be followed and enforced that address and deal with people who cross our border illegally, and there should be consequence. And let's be clear, in this race, I'm the only person who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations who traffic in guns, drugs, and human beings. I'm the only person in this race who actually served a border state as Attorney General to enforce our laws, and I would enforce our laws as president going forward. I recognize the problem.
Generally speaking, how should voters
pause real quick,
look at some of the changes that you've made?
Let me just say this real quick. I won't call her see you next Tuesday, but this is very cunty answers here because she is essentially criminalizing people that are coming across the border as transnational criminals that are running drugs and guns. Does anybody honestly, when you see the pictures and the videos and the stories of the people coming at trying to attempt to cross at the southern border, I'm sorry, if they had guns and drugs, they'd have been over the border. Shit, they would have had the fucking money. If they had the guns and the drugs, they would not be waiting in fucking Nogales. You feel me? They wouldn't be on the other side of the border. They'd already been crossed the border. And she's talking about that there's consequence. We have to follow the laws. We used to be able to let people come here and claim asylum. Okay? Political asylum, any fucking kind of asylum. I don't understand what is the problem with that. It's heartless to deny people opportunities, in which, number one, the reason they don't have opportunities is because America has thieved all of the resources from their countries, and their shit is here. Okay? Honduras shit is over here. Guatemala shit, El Salvador shit is over here. So that's why the Hondurans and the Guatemalans and the El Salvadorians is coming to fuck over here, because this is where they shit is. America fucked up their homelands and has created all kinds of myriad of problems: social, economic, political, environmental, and they are coming here because this is where the opportunities are. The opportunities are not where they live or where they're from, because America fucked that up for them with intention. And for Kamala to equivocate those people who are coming across the border with so-called, quote, transnational criminals smuggling guns and drugs is a really fucked up thing to do, to conflate those two things and to even put those two things in the same answer. Not see you next Tuesday, but kind of cunty. Go ahead, Will.
That you explained some of here in your policy, is it because you have more experience now and you've learned more about the information? Is it because you were running for president in a Democratic primary? And should they feel comfortable and confident that what you're saying now is going to be your policy moving forward?
Dana, I think the most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed. You mentioned the Green New Deal. I have always believed, and I have worked on it, that the climate crisis is real, that it is an urgent matter to which we should apply metrics that include holding ourselves to deadlines around time.
Which we haven't.
We did that with the Inflation Reduction Act. We
Nope.
have set goals for the United States of America and by extension the globe around when we should meet certain standards for reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, as
And
an
we have
example.
not
That value
adhered to
has
that.
not changed.
No,
My
we haven't
value
adhered to it.
around what we need to do to secure our border, that value has not changed. I spent 2 terms as the Attorney General of California prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, violations of American laws
Oh my God.
regarding the illegal passage of guns, drugs, and human beings across our border.
You're
My
gross.
values have not changed.
You're gross.
So that is the reality of it. And 4 years of being vice president, I'll tell you, one of the aspects to your point is traveling the country extensively. I mean, I'm here in Georgia, I think somebody told me 17 times since I've been vice president in Georgia alone. I believe it is important to build consensus. And it is important to find a common place of understanding of where we can actually solve problems.
On that note, you had a lot of Republican speakers at the convention. Will you appoint a Republican to your cabinet?
Yes, I would.
Anyone
Yes,
in
I
mind?
would. No one in particular in mind. We got 68 days to go with this election, so I'm not putting the cart before the horse, but I would. I think it's really important. I have spent my career inviting diversity of opinion. I think it's important to have people at the table when some of the most important decisions are being made that have different views, different experiences. And I think it would be to the benefit of the American public to have a member of my cabinet who was a Republican.
Oh, okay, that's enough.
So I want to
That's,
ask you
that's
about your
good. Hold
opponent.
on. You know what? I might be already tired of this. Can I say this really quickly? It's so hilarious when Democrats, in particular liberals, talk about building consensus. Do they ever talk about building consensus with the Green Party or with socialists or with the Party of Socialism and Liberation, or with any myriad of differing political ideologies that are further left than Democrats? Nope, they always talk about working with Republicans, right? They would love to work with the Klan. It's wild. And I can only assume because they themselves are Klan, right? I mean, like if the Republicans are Klan, the Democrats are absolutely the White Citizens Council, right? And look at Kamala. She's so happy to have a seat at the table at the White Citizens Council. Lucky her. Lucky her. They always want to make friends with the Republicans. I would appoint a Republican to my cabinet. Would you, bitch? Would you really? What about someone else that had some like better ideas than say a fucking Republican? What about somebody further on the left? Oh, those people don't exist. Oh, you're not interested in building consensus with them. Oh, that's not the diversity of thought that you're talking about. Got it. We see. Thank you so much for clearing that up, Madam Vice President. Kamala did not impress here, everybody. She, in my opinion, underwhelmed. And I think that was actually the whole point, right? Kamala's doing some things very intentionally here. She's not trying to come across, as the angry black woman. She's not, trying to clap back at Trump. She's not even really trying to point out that she is black and a woman, right? I just so happen to be, right. Okay. It's okay to highlight that thing because it should be important, but not the only thing, right? We understand from our perspective that identity politics is a folly. Like simply because someone is black and woman and or a woman, it doesn't mean that they necessarily have the best interest of black people or women in mind, especially when they're there to serve the interest of the elite, which Kamala absolutely is. And you see her already forsaking her quote values, shit that she believed in 5 years ago. She don't believe in that shit now. No, I've banned fracking. The fuck? Why would I ever do that? So why would you do that? It's because it's the right thing to do. Decriminalize border crossings. No, I uphold the law. I prosecute border crossers like they was traffickers and running guns and drugs. I cannot stand not only the flagrant hypocrisy, and I want y'all to make sure, because I know how y'all feel, but make sure that you point out these contradictions to the people in your life that are clapping their hands and stomping their feet and yes, queening for fucking Kamala. Okay, she's a cop, guys. Okay, and in 2024, Democrats are what Republicans were in 1985. Okay, like there is no quote progressive lean leftward for Democrats. They, in fact, seemingly becoming more conservative, and they're very pleased to let you know that they will gladly work with conservatives. They will appoint conservatives, and we know what conservatives uphold as their values, right? Corporatism over everything, white supremacy over everything, police and military over everything, which to me also sounds like the values of the Democrats. So we're gonna watch this shit. And maybe Kamala will say something else besides expanding the child care tax credit. Maybe we'll get something with a name, right? A policy with a name. Can I get a number on the whatever she intends to raise the federal minimum wage to? Have y'all heard a number? If it's anything less than $15, she can shove it up her ass. Okay. And I say all this, and I know some people, you shouldn't disrespect the vice president. First of all, I disrespect presidents. Okay. Biden, Trump, Obama, Bush, Clinton, Bush, Reagan, pick a president. Fuck these niggas. And if she become one, fuck her too. Anyway, Kamala is out here republicaning up at fantastic levels, and you better tell a friend to tell a friend. Let me take a break here, everybody. Wilbert, let me know what you're looking like here, bro. Because if you got to push, we can push. But if you got 15 more for me, I can wrap it up in about 15. But if you got to push,
go ahead, 15, my G.
All right, I appreciate that. All right,
keep it tight though. Keep it right. Keep it tight.
I'm gonna try, brother. I'm old and shit. It's hard. It's hard to keep it right and tight. As you see in 50 coming up in the horizon. But anyway, we appreciate everybody that is joining us tonight. Thank you so much to everyone that's watching us on Twitch, BIDWKB on Twitch. What's up, Rosalba? What's up, Northern Witch? Shout out to everyone that's checking us out over there. You can follow us over there as well. We're on Facebook, BIDWKB, Instagram, samesies, over on Twitter at Burn It Down KB. Now, this is another Cops Ain't Shit story that you guys need to know about. And let me give some content warnings for all kinds of things. Okay. So many content warnings. So, for all the things, I can't even enumerate them. Just whatever you can think of needs a content or a trigger warning. This story has that. So there has been an arrest made in the 2021 murder of a 23-year-old woman. I believe her name is Sandra Birch Moore, from Canton, Massachusetts. Okay. Sandra Birchmore was found in her apartment, appearing to have unalived herself while seated with, some sort of string or some sort of rope or something around her neck. Her death was investigated by the police. Her death was ruled a suicide by the medical examiner. And for 3 long years, there have been no charges, no accountability for her death. Her family believed that she did not unalive herself, that they believed that she had, in fact, been murdered. And the person that they suspected of murdering her has now been charged federally. Feds have pressed these charges. And shocker, shocker, this person turned out to be a cop. Now, Matthew Falwell, not just a cop, right? He was in charge of the Explorers program at his police department, or he was a participant in the Explorers program at his police department. And for those of you that may not know what the Explorers are, in a lot of police departments, I think my own fucking police department had in the newsletter that they were looking for young folks, usually middle school, high school, maybe even some elementary school age, where it's the police getting involved with the community to try to form community bonds and to give the kids an experience in policing and how to beat niggas up and how to get away with murder and shit. I don't fucking know what the Explorers do. But honestly, there have been a number of cases in recent years of children being exploited and abused, unfortunately, sexually by a lot of these cops in these Explorers clubs. They have been prime grooming grounds for pedophiles who happen to be police, right? And such is the case with this young lady. So there are a couple of packages here that I want to get into. So let's go, Will, with that first package. And this package is kind of the update because, again, feds announced these charges this week, the week of August the 30th. And it's pretty damning. And again, content warning, trigger warning, because this shit is terrible. Like, it's bad. And I know y'all are like, Kim, you bring us bad stories all the time. I know, but I could not let this one go by because it's so terrible and egregious. And anyway, let me stop talking. We'll go ahead and run that.
Allegations out of Stoughton. Allegations out of Stoughton led to the arrest of former police officer Matthew Farwell Wednesday, now facing federal charges that could put him on death row.
It erodes the very trust and fabric of the community and policing that we have in the area and the region.
Security analyst and former Boston Police Chief Dan Linsky called this a blow to law enforcement all across New England.
Yeah, in this case, it wasn't a bad apple. It looks like it was a bunch of bad apples.
And 2 years ago, Stoughton police found that Farwell, his co-worker and brother William, alongside former Deputy Chief Robert Devine, all had inappropriate contact with Birchmore. Farwell is now charged with killing a witness or victim after years of allegations.
There's been investigation into the abuse of this girl since she was 15 years old by several members of the Stoughton Police Department. And so she could be characterized as a witness in that investigation of the abuse part.
Attorney Philip Tracy said with all similar federal charges, the death sentence for Farwell, if convicted, is possible, but ultimately up to Washington to decide if they'll pursue.
With the idea of abusing and using the child and then killing her while pregnant, I think you could make a case that this is a death penalty case.
But that decision will have to wait for some time. Linsky assured us there will, however, be changes statewide to how departments are run and who's left to oversee their power.
Every officer in New England, every officer across the country is going to have to work harder at reestablishing that trust.
And Linsky also assured me that investigators at this point are still combing through decade worth of evidence in this case and into the allegations that also involve Farwell and those 2 other Stoughton police officers. As I mentioned again, charges could be coming down the line.
She spent a lot of time over here. many summers. Used to have the pool in the backyard.
Family members cling to happier memories.
She was hilarious, and she was smart as a whip, too. Oh my God, she was smart as a whip.
But it's been an emotional roller coaster for those who grew up loving and caring for Sandra Birchmore. For Colin Nee, finding out Wednesday that his second cousin was allegedly murdered by former Stoughton police officer Matthew Farwell came as no surprise.
One of the first things that crossed my mind, it wasn't suicide.
Nee says family knew about Farwell, who Birchmore met through a Police Explorer program. Federal investigators claim Farwell groomed Birchmore and started having sex with her when she was just 15 years old.
A couple years goes by, it slips out that she may or may not be having a relationship with one of the instructors. Family members are a little upset about it.
Colin Nee's wife, Kelly, says Birchmore told her that Farwell was the father of her unborn child.
We just all knew he was the father. She's talked about him for years.
And she claims it wasn't the first time Birchmore was pregnant with his baby.
She had told me she had a miscarriage, and the father was a police officer.
Kelly Nee says Birchmore was first pregnant back in 2019, but lost the child. The second time in 2021, leading up to her death, she was elated.
She was sad that she had the miscarriage, you know. So when she finally got pregnant and everything was going well, right before she passed away, she was just so ecstatic that she was finally going to be a mother.
With Farwell in custody, the family now left feeling vindicated for the first time.
Just so happy that the truth has finally come to light and that the FBI stepped in and did what they needed to do, and everyone involved is going to get their due justice.
Now, the family also tells me they do intend to be at Farwell's next court hearing in September. Live in the newsroom, I'm Kirsten Glavin, NBC.
All right. So, yeah, guys, and that's not really the half of it. Will, if you could get that press conference queued up for me as well. So just to really quickly here, the indictment that came out had some shocking details, including the fact that, again, this young woman, this child, joined this Explorers Club when she was about 12 or 13. At least 4 members of the Stoughton Police Department, including Farwell, and his twin brother, Jesus Christ, these motherfuckers is disgusting, are alleged to have literally passed her around, right? And it might be more than just those 4, okay? She was basically trafficked and exploited by these cops. There was hundreds of photos and videos of the explicit nature exchanged from this young woman to multiple police officers. In fact, the indictment also goes on to allege that Farwell was trying to introduce her to other cops and encouraging her to have sexual relationships with these other police, guys, basically trafficking this young woman whom her home situation was such that she didn't have a father figure. So she looked up to these fucking pigs as protectors or as guiders, and look at what they did to her. But here come the feds, because like I said, the I believe this is in Norfolk County prosecutors refused to do anything. Canton police refused to do anything because that is, I believe, where she lived in Canton. And the Stoughton police, or Stoughton, they did Stogies, Sturgeons, whatever. The Stoughton Police Department refused to do anything to prosecute shit. And you know the shit is bad that the feds got to do something and get involved. And it's usually fuck the feds. It is always fuck the FBI. But the fact that the feds had to intervene here because the cover-up was so blatant should tell you something. So let's listen to the press conference, just a couple minutes of it, if we could, Will. I have a time quota on there.
Good afternoon. On February 4th, 2021, Sandra Birchmore was found dead in her Canton, Massachusetts apartment. The charges filed today in federal court allege that she was in fact murdered by Matthew Farwell 3 days earlier. At the time of her death, Sandra Birchmore was a 23-year-old woman with her entire life ahead of her, and she was pregnant with her first child. We allege that Sandra Birchmore survived years of grooming, statutory rape, and then sexual violence, all at the hands of Matthew Farwell, who was employed throughout their relationship as an officer and then detective for the Stoughton Police Department. And when it became clear to Mr. Farwell that he could no longer control Sandra Birchmore, he allegedly silenced her permanently. This morning, Matthew Farwell was arrested on a federal grand jury indictment, charging him with one count of killing a witness or victim. Specifically, Mr. Farwell is charged with violating Title 18 United States Code 1512 for killing Sandra Birchmore with the intent of preventing her from communicating information about his possible commission of federal crimes. How did this all unfold? What happened here? Well, back in 2010, a 12-year-old Sandra Birchmore applied to join the Stoughton Police Department's Explorers program, which introduces teens to policing. Officer Matthew Farwell was an instructor in that program. And as alleged in court documents, he befriended Sandra Birchmore, contacted her online, went to the library with her, became friends on Facebook, essentially groomed her. And then he committed statutory rape by having sex with her when he was a 27-year-old police officer and she was just 15 years old. Mr. Farwell continued to have a sexual relationship with Sandra Birchmore until her death 8 years later, allegedly meeting her for sex regularly when he was on duty and being paid by the Stoughton Police Department. Now, in the weeks leading up to Sandra Birchmore's death in February 2021, she found out that she was expecting a baby. And she told Mr. Farwell that he was the father. According to court documents, Ms. Birchmore was very excited about becoming a mother, buying baby clothes and other items, taking precautions to ensure the health of her new child. Sandra Birchmore had good friends, she had a good job, she had dreams of becoming a nurse, and she had a child on the way. But Mr. Farwell did not share in that excitement. It's alleged that Mr. Farwell reacted quite negatively to the news that Sandra Birchmore was pregnant with his child. And he acted angrily, it is alleged, when Sandra Birchmore started making requests of Mr. Farwell around doctor's appointments and ultrasounds and what information would be on the birth certificate. Mr. Farwell was losing control in late 2020, early 2021, and the information that Sandra Birchmore possessed about his illegal conduct was in danger of slipping out. In fact, word started to get out about their relationship. Less than 2 weeks before she was found dead, someone called the Stoughton Police Department and disclosed that Matthew Farwell had had a relationship with Sandra Birchmore. And when Mr. Farwell learned about that call, he became visibly angry. Mr. Farwell, it is alleged in these court papers, started to lose his patience, lose his temper, and the 6'4" Mr. Farwell started to be physically violent with 4'10" Sandra Birchmore. And Sandra Birchmore told her friends that Mr. Farwell had pushed her and shoved her and put her in a chokehold. She was scared. And during that same time, Mr. Farwell was allegedly planning Sandra Birchmore's murder. For the first time, he requested a key to her apartment. And she told friends that he was oddly inspecting the apartment and looking at the closet, including the closet that she was found dead in front of. And then it all came to a head on February 1st, 2021. Mr. Farwell went over to her apartment that evening and he strangled Sandra Birchmore to death. That's the allegation in this case.
Okay, well, let's stop it there.
And he used his knowledge and experience as a law enforcement officer.
Yep. As a law enforcement officer to cover up the crime. This is a tragedy on so many levels. And to be clear here, there ought to be more indictments coming. Matthew Farwell is not the only person here that abused and knew and covered up Sandra's murder, right? There needs to be at least 3 more arrests, including that of his twin brother and the deputy chief of the Stoughton Police Department. This is madness and insanity. The fact that this kind of culture of sexual abuse of a minor, and by the way, I believe the age of consent, the legal age of consent in Massachusetts is 16. And in the indictment, Farwell is alleged to have asked Sandra to delete any history or record of them having contact that exposed the fact that he had had sexual intercourse with her, or rather had raped her statutorily before she was of a legal age to consent. By the way, he was 27 when they first began having a sexual relationship. And there's a lot of connections here. There's a lot of overlap between this police department, the Canton Police Department, and the whole Karen Reed trial that happened in the Boston area earlier this year. That was an absolute sensation in white on white violence. It was so crazy. I wasn't even able, I couldn't cover it. It was too much. It was too much. But there's a lot of overlap there. And that just goes to show you the disgusting nature of policing, period, in this country. These are the people that love to take advantage of weaker folks. These are the folks that exploit poor people, that exploit vulnerable women and girls. And by the way, just as a set aside that you guys already know, the number one cause of death for pregnant women living in America, we all know the answer. It's homicide. Homicide, not preeclampsia, not hemorrhaging, not any of that shit. Homicide is what kills more pregnant women in this country than any other cause. Okay. And unfortunately, this young woman was a victim of that very, very sad reality. So let us hope and let us pray that there are more indictments coming down the pike in this very tragic case. Honestly, guys, but for her family continuing to push the issue, there would not have been any sort of charges pressed in this. And from what I understand, her family has also filed a civil suit, alleging wrongful death. I think they sued the police department, the Stogan Police Department. Stogan, I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing these New England names, but the police department has been named as a defendant, and hopefully some others, in a civil suit filed by Sandra Birchmore's family. But we want to just send incredible love and solidarity to her folks. It is terrible that she had to endure what she endured at the hands of people who unearned have a position of trust in the community. And what have I been telling y'all? Okay, these sexual deviants, these perverts, these pedophiles, these people who pursue children and who force sexual encounters on others, they are police. Okay, they are in the military. And why people are not further scrutinizing, like as often as police are lauded up as, well, they have a tough job, no one talks about how tough a job they are on the community as well. When it comes to the profession that is most likely or has higher instances of sexual abuse and domestic abuse, that the little nugget about police and soldiers seems to fall by the wayside. For all that they have a tough job rhetoric, well, they also are tough on their families and on strangers. It's fucked up. So I'm going to keep an eye on this story. I could not let the story pass. And I guess good job, FBI, for doing what the fucking local yokel cops wouldn't do. But Jesus Christ, if you're trying to rehabilitate the image of police, this is a bad look all around. So, gang, we are going to get out of here and push out of here. But I told you guys, because of the bummer type of stories that I bring, I like to leave everybody with a bit of a palate cleanser. Consider this your ginger slice. Your ginger slice. Thanks so much to everyone that tuned in and watched. Will, do we have any other support that we need to acknowledge?
Can you hear me?
Why,
Yeah.
Will, why you always act like I'm not ever gonna come to you, man? Like you always, like it's always like a surprise. Like I hear you putting on headphones, you shuffling with the, like,
Yeah,
don't I ask
I
you things?
Again, Teresa, thank you for your support. Sweary Fairy gifted a membership.
Thank you, Sweary
And
Fairy.
Vesper X in the chat.
Vesper, thank you.
Some America, aka capitalist hellscape, agreed.
So bad. It's so bad. Thank you, Vesper. Thank you, Sweary Fairy. Thank you so much to all my good mods. What's up, Cord? What's going on, Abby? Hey, Anna Hart. Hey, Mama Lo. What's up, Tyler? What's up, Donnie? What's up, Latif? Thank you guys so much. Chuck Diesel might even be here, but even if he ain't, what's up, Chuck Diesel? We appreciate you out here. Thanks so much to everybody. Thumbs up on the video. We did really weird numbers our last show, 25,000 live views. How the fuck did that happen? YouTube heard me calling them out for reasons I don't know, and they took their thumb off the suppression button. That was interesting, but you know, it was like 25,000 views, like 150 likes. I'm like, that math is not mathing at all. So do me a favor. Please hit that like button, please, and thank you. So let me leave you all with the palate cleanser, okay? Y'all know I'm an addict of TikTok now. You get good luck getting me off TikTok. I will be down to the Capitol myself when they try to ban TikTok. Even though I'm not a creator nor a poster yet, I'm fascinated by the someone just sent some money. I'm fascinated by the content and it's incredible. So this video is that of what I'm calling a sentient baby. Andre T, you the MVP. Thank you so much for your Cash App support. Definitely appreciate it. Thank you so much. The sentient baby, guys. I'm convinced these 21st century babies, these quarter of the way into the century babies, they coming out like at 5 years old. Like they already got like 5-year-old consciousness, but they just not able to articulate their thoughts. Not able to articulate. So you thought. Check out this video and listen to the reactions all around. You're going to see the baby, which is a relative newborn. You're going to hear a younger sister and a mama, and then they have another family member on the phone. But listen closely, even though you can't miss it. And when you hear it, I promise you, you will gasp with joy. Here's our palate cleanser.
Say I am 2 months.
He 3 months, girl.
Say I am 3 months.
Okay, let him talk. Let him talk. Oh my God, Bam. Bam. Oh my God. Say hey, Bam. Hey, Bam.
Do the 3 months again.
Hey, Bam. Hey, Quentin. Say hey, Quentin. Hey, Quentin. Bam.
Oh my God, he's doing it.
It's okay. Little kid. He did it.
You said it.
He did.
Mommy is not funny. It's happy.
Whoa, whoa. I'm almost with the little girl. I'm crying. Like, oh my God, did you hear that? And to confirm, the child is 3 months old. The kid told you he was 3 months. 3 months. And he said, hey, Quentin, holy shit, the child has no teeth. forming the sound of Q and T. Amazing. Whoa. And the reaction of, I'm assuming is his sibling, in weeping with tears of joy and disbelief. Holy shit. And the mother, obviously, the mom, not laughing at the little girl crying. It was an interesting emotional response and outburst from the both of them, that witnessing and listening to that truly was an amazing feat of linguistics for this 3-month-old newborn. I can appreciate both reactions and responses, both the laughter and the tears, but just an incredible, make you smile and gasp kind of thing. So that is your palate cleanser as we close out the Friday edition of Burn It Down with Kim Brown. Thank you all so much for all the support, for all that you do. Appreciate you. Shout out to Deborah Rodriguez, who sent us some major support to me and Ear Doctor for our classical breakdown. If you've not checked out this week's episode of Classical Breakdown, please go over to Black Liberation Media and subscribe, set the bells, and go watch that episode, and go check out Saturdays with Renee on tomorrow. And Ear Doctor's not going to be there this Sunday. He's going to be at the House Party Festival in Atlanta. So anyway, they do all the things over there on Black Liberation Media, do all the things over here, push all the buttons. We appreciate it. And we will see you back here on Tuesday, kids. Have a happy and safe Labor Day. Please be safe. Don't drink and drive. And shout out to all the organizers and the workers of this country that helped to get us any fucking days off, that helped to get us, 8-hour work days and 40-hour work weeks. We thank you so much for that, but we need better. We need 32-hour work weeks and 4-day work weeks. So anyway, all the things. Happy Labor Day, everybody. Love you guys so much. Happy birthday, Rich. I love you, my G. Y'all be easy. Thank you so much to Will and Molly. See y'all later. Bye-bye, y'all. Deuces, deuces.